Hi everyone, good morning. It's Tuesday morning here in Comox, and this is a flexibility and mobility workout that we're going to be doing. So we've got about 2.5 more minutes to go, so please go ahead and collect up a mat. So go ahead and lay your mat out. If you have a foam roller or a ball, I'm just going to go over how to use them, but you don't have to actually have one to have a really great flexibility and mobility workout today. So we're just taking a few moments to get ourselves prepared here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So if you haven't laid out a mat or made a little clear area in your living room, now is the time. And I hope everyone had a really amazing Mother's Day. It was beautiful here in Comox. It was like plus 25, so most of us got a lot of sunshine. And yeah, it was a fun day. I saw some orcas out in the ocean just down by Fanny Bay. And yeah, it was a good day for the beach and all kinds of other activities outside. So please go ahead and get set up, and we'll just wait about 1 more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. So if some of you are just joining us, we're just getting set up right now. We're just waiting about 30 seconds more and then we'll go ahead and start the class. So we're just waiting for a few more people to join in. And if anyone's watching and just want to comment and just let me know if everything's looking okay this morning, that would be wonderful. And then we'll go ahead and get started. So just let me know if you can hear me. Just going to turn it up a little bit here. And we'll go ahead and get started. Okay guys, so we're just at time. This is a flexibility and mobility workout today. So my name is Katie Kennedy. I'm a fitness instructor at 19 Wing Comox, and I just need to read the little disclosure statement before we get started. So, in response to the COVID-19, PSP is offering virtual fitness to Canadian Armed Forces members. By using social media platforms, the virtual fitness classes tailored to the Canadian Armed Forces member personnel become accessible to all. Participants who are not Canadian Armed Forces members recognize and acknowledge that their age, health status, and physical fitness levels are unknown. It is entirely up to each individual to assess their ability to participate in this class. Since it is preferable for you to consult your physician before beginning any exercise program, we invite all participants who are not Canadian Armed Forces members to consult the Get Active questionnaire of the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology and its reference document. If you experience any pain or difficulty during the exercise presented in this video, it is recommended that you stop and consult your healthcare provider. So hi Nicole, hi Natasha, hi Danielle, good morning this morning. Happy Tuesday. Okay, so if a CF member sustains an injury during the fitness video, please remember to fill out a CF98 form. And also on the link below is the rest of the videos that you can watch, and is also those reference documents if you'd like to go over them. Okay, so go ahead and just come on out onto your mat and we're going to get started. So today's a flexibility and mobility workout. So today we're going to be working on our range of motion. So that's the mobility surrounding our joints. We're going to be working on our flexibility within each joint. We're also working on these to up our athletic performance, to speed up recovery. So for rehabilitation, if we're injured, it helps to speed up your recovery if you have more flexibility and mobility. And it also helps for you to not get as injured as well. So for example, if you're out skiing or you're playing a sport and you fall and your body's more flexible, you might just stretch into that position rather than really tearing something or hurting yourself. So super beneficial for many different things. It also helps to lower your stress levels in your body, so it's really good for your nervous system, and just amazing for nourishing our tissues. So when I talk about our tissues, I'm talking about our fascia, that layer of cellophane that's underneath our skin. Tissues are also our ligaments and tendons. Okay, so nourishes those. It also nourishes our muscles when we're more flexible and more mobile. It also helps our posture, so the way we show up in the world. So what I'm talking about with posture is as we get older, our posture tends to move like this. So from the side, hopefully my ear, my shoulder, my hip, and my ankle are going to be away from the camera, are in a pretty good line. And I've used this blue room today because then you can kind of see those things. So as we age, what tends to happen is we tend to get a little bit of forward chin jut. So our chin starts to come forward like this, over time, of course. And then our shoulders also tend to start to round forward. And it's kind of inducive because we like look down at text messages and things like that, and we're also hunched over the computer. It tends to shorten up our hip flexor, so our iliopsoas tends to get a little bit shorter from sitting, and our back tends to get a little bit rounded this way. So we're going to work on lengthening out those areas and coming back into better alignment and better posture. So when your flexibility and mobility is really good, your body then becomes into better alignment, and there's less shearing that takes place through the joints when we're moving. So super, super important that your body posture is really good when we move into the weight room and we start getting into weighted squats and heavy deadlifts and things like that. So many, many reasons to work on flexibility and mobility today. Okay, it also helps to create better sleep. So if you're finding that your sleep patterns are not good and you're having trouble falling asleep, to do a little bit of flexibility and mobility before going to bed, super, super helpful. Just relaxes the whole nervous system. And it also helps to decrease pain in the body. So with all of that in mind, we're just going to get into the looking at our posture today. So what I want you to do is find a wall in your home, and I just want you to go and stand beside it. So I'm going to stand beside this wall. I'm also going to take my shoes off. So if your shoes aren't off, please go ahead and take your shoes off and take your socks off, because we're also going to look at our feet as they're the foundation for our whole house, our whole body. So taking off your shoes and socks, and then just standing back against the wall. You're going to place your heels all the way against the wall. You're going to take a moment to roll your shoulders back and down, and then you're going to bring the back of your head all the way back to a wall. So once your body's in that really nice line, then you're going to step away from the wall and just kind of see how that feels. So going back to that ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle alignment, and just making sure that your body is nice and long, nice and tall, abdominals drawn in slightly. So just coming into that posture when you can. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So just coming down onto your mat, you're going to come into what's called child's posture. So this one's a really beautiful, gentle hip opening. It's also flattening out our feet, so it's working into the tops of our feet, and it elongates the sides of our body. So just starting by wiggling your hips left and right. So we're coming into each posture with our breath, coming into some nice long breaths here, and letting your forehead gently relax down to the ground. Go ahead and allow your elbows to bend. You might wiggle around through the shoulders slightly, and come into a nice long, deep breath. So you're allowing your side ribs and your back ribs to expand in child's posture. You're breathing all the way down into the base of the lungs. So how we breathe in life is also so important to our flexibility and mobility. Please stay in child's posture and just breathe there, allowing your seat to come back to your heels. So there's some restrictions that might take place here. If you're up here in child's posture, it could be because you have a knee injury and there's maybe some pain happening in your knees. Maybe if you're up high like this, it's because your hip doesn't come into full flexion. So there's a number of different reasons why some postures work well for people and why they don't. Everybody's body is just different. Some other things that come into play, just stay in child's posture and breathe for me. Some other things that come into play is your nutrition, so the hydration in your body, how hydrated your cells and tissues and muscles are. It's really important to drink lots of water every day, 3 to 4 liters if you're doing any activities. So 3 to 4 liters a day is what's optimal. They used to say 2 liters a day, but that's if you're completely at rest, lying in bed all day. So that's like for someone in the hospital. So 3 to 4 liters of water. And then sort of moving towards a plant-based diet is going to be super beneficial for creating more alkalinity in the body. So you can read into when your body's too acidic and when your body's more alkaline and how that also affects your tissues. Go ahead and come up to a nice tabletop position. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Go ahead and move through cow and cat posture. Take a nice big inhale. Lift your chin, lift your tail, slide your shoulders back. Exhale, gently tuck your chin, tuck your tail, curl all the way up. You might gently rock back and forth here. Go ahead and take a nice big inhale. Lift your chin, lift your tail, slide your shoulders back. Exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your tail. You might rock back and forth gently. Nice big inhale. Lift your chin, lift your tail. Exhale. Tuck your chin and tuck your tail. So feel into different parts of your spine. Big inhale, lift the chin, lift the tail, and exhale. Tuck the chin and tuck the tail. Go ahead and come back to tabletop position. Gently move left and right. So we're going to allow the elbows to bend here. We're just feeling into our hips. So you might just gently move frontwards and backwards with your hip out to the side, moving to the other side and moving a little bit frontwards and backwards. So we're feeling into our hips today. This is the iliotibial band what we're feeling into. And that can get quite tight from a lot of running or lifting or things like that. So just go ahead and take a few breaths here, moving left and right. Bring your whole body forward. Go ahead and bring your fingertips out to the side. We're going to move around through the shoulders. So just gently work the shoulders backwards here. Our eyes are looking down at the ground and our chin is just slightly tucked in. So we have this nice long neck rather than like this. So chin is down slightly, eyes are down. Stopping here, we're going to bring one elbow forward, one elbow backwards. So we're stretching across the shoulders. We're working into the trapezius and the neck a little bit. It's kind of an interesting feeling sometimes. And just noticing your body. So wherever you're feeling something the most is usually what's the tightest in the body. And then bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. Go ahead and take a nice big inhale. You might just come up to here. Draw the chin in slightly and roll the shoulders onto the back. Or you might come all the way up, coming up to cobra posture. And then take the shoulders far away from the ears. Roll the shoulders back. And you might just gently move a little bit left and a little bit right. So we're just feeling into the hip flexors today. And I see there's a few more of you there. So just coming all the way down slowly, and then you're going to come up. So you're coming up to here on the inhale, and then coming down on the exhale. If your back feels comfortable coming all the way up, you're coming up to here on the inhale, and then coming down gently on the exhale. So we're going to do a few of those, and I'm just going to check to see who's here watching us. So hello Danielle, hello V. Hello, Natasha. Hi, Nicole. Thanks, guys, for watching today. Okay, we've got 2 more to go. So 2 more of those nice big cobras or little low cobras. A nice inhale coming up. Roll your shoulders back and down. Tuck the chin slightly. Exhale, coming down. One more big inhale up. Draw the shoulders back. Tuck the chin slightly. Exhale, coming back down. And then coming all the way up. We're just going to come up to a standing position. We're going to talk about the feet for a few moments. So in the beginning, I was talking about the feet as being the foundation to our body. So for some of you that might be in the military, you're wearing boots a lot of the time. So at home, if you can go without your shoes, that would be perfect for gaining some strength through the bottoms of the feet and also for stretching out the toes. So what's happening in our feet transfers into our knees, which then transfers into our hips. If it's only happening on one side, it usually switches across at the hips and goes up the other side. So just making sure that there's a nice big space between your big toe and your second toe. So you're gonna move that toe out to the side. So just bending your knees here, just moving that toe out. And then we want to think about lifting our arch off the floor. So we're kind of pressing into the big toe joint, the little toe joint, and the heel, but we're keeping the arch lifted. So we're creating this lift through our arches, which then transfers up into our knees. So if I just let my arches fall, it looks like this. So this looks very, very different with my arches are fallen, and you'll see that my knees came in. So when I go to lift my arches, I can almost screw my feet into the floor. So I press down and I almost turn my toes out slightly, but without actually moving my feet. So this is something that Kelly Starrett talks a lot about in his book called Becoming a Supple Leopard. So if you're interested in all of this stuff, Kelly Starrett and Becoming a Supple Leopard is a really good book. If you want to just go onto YouTube, he also has something called The Ready State, which is just excellent little videos. You can work on just one specific part of your body that you know is tight. So his name is Dr. Kelly Starrett, and just, yeah, amazing, amazing information. So he talks about screwing the feet into the floor, which engages the knees and the hips in a good way so that your body is really balanced. So if you naturally stand with your feet nice and straight with a lift in your arch, then that's great. If not, there's some little things to work on. I also want to talk about people that stand with their feet toed out. So they tend to walk a little bit more like a duck. So their weight's usually more in the outer part of their feet. Now the issue here is if they're playing a sport, for example, and running around, and they get pushed or something happens, their knee comes into this really weird position, and they're much more likely to hurt something, have a knee injury. So we want to be focused on lifting the arches, screwing our feet into the floor, having that really nice solid base of support so that our body movement is like that and we have less injury, hopefully. Okay, so that's just a little foot thing for you guys. So if you have a ball at home, this is really good for rolling out the feet, so you can work into all different parts of the feet with a ball. Some of you have probably looked into reflexology, so every little point in your foot correlates into a different organ or different place in the body. So our feet are super interesting. They have all these little points. So it's nice to work with a ball and your foot, just like that. If you don't have a ball at home today, that's okay. You can try it another time. This is a lacrosse ball, so it's a fairly hard ball. So we're just gonna take a moment to sit on the ground. We're gonna hold on to our feet, and we're gonna stick our first finger in between our big toe and our our second toe. And then we're gonna take our thumbs and just place them in the big toe joint. We're gonna move that big toe frontwards and backwards. So we're trying to gain some space between the big toe and that second toe. Some of you have probably heard about bunions. They sometimes occur on the big toe joint or on other joints, and they can be really painful for people. Also, people that do tend to wear shoes for long periods of time, the big toe kind of tends to move towards those other toes. So we want to take a few moments to really spread the toes out. And then practice wiggling the toes. So see if you can get your toes moving this way and this way. So both ways. The big toe moves frontwards and backwards. Okay. So coming back onto all fours and just thinking about your feet as being the foundation of your house, treating your feet really, really well, because you have to be on your feet throughout your whole life. Okay, go ahead and bring your hands forward, tuck your toes under, and bring your hips back towards your heels. Take a moment to lengthen each arm. Stretch your fingers out as wide as possible, forehead close to the floor. We're coming up to down facing dog. Here we're going to keep the knees bent, and we're going to send the armpits back towards the feet, pressing fully into all parts of the hand. Go ahead and give your head and neck a little shake here, so you're just taking the tension out of your head and neck. And then we're going to bring our heels up and down and start to feel into our hips and our shoulders. As you press your left heel down, see if you can push with your right hand. And as you press your right heel down, see if you can push with your left hand. So you're creating some mobility through the shoulders and through the hips as well.
Don't worry if your heel doesn't come all the way down. A lot of people's calves are quite tight, so the heels might be off the floor. And then drawing the belly button in and allowing your organs to travel towards your chest for a few breaths here. From here, we're going to come up on our toes. We're going to ripple all the way forward. We're coming into cobra posture, drawing our shoulders back and down. And again, you might just move left and move right. And then coming all the way up, drawing in through your belly button. You might let your toes flip over. We're coming back to downward facing dog. We're going to work into the hips again and the shoulders. Holding still for 2 nice big deep breaths. Pressing your whole mat forward, then coming up on the toes. You're going to ripple forward. Bring our hips forward. Drawing the shoulders back. You might press a little bit of weight into the toes, and then just gently move left and right. And then you might let your toes flip over, or you might need to come onto the toes first. That's a big toe stretch there if you like. And then gently moving left and right again. Pressing the armpits towards the feet. Drawing in through the belly button. We're going to do this one more time. So coming back to a nice static down facing dog. Think of pushing your mat forward with your hands and pulling your mat back with your feet. Take a nice big inhale. Coming forward slowly, feeling into your spine. Thighs come down to the ground. Draw the shoulders back and then feel into the sides of the body. So see how you're doing here? You might be okay to actually come onto your side. There's a big stretch through the hip. You might gently roll to the other side. Arms are nice and long. And then bringing the knees a little bit wider than the chest. Go ahead and move left and right. Come back to child's posture here. So forehead is close to the mat. And we're resting. Taking a few nice big deep breaths here. So filling your whole lungs up with your breath. Now bringing your whole body forward. We're going to start to work into the shoulders a little bit. So bringing the arms out in front of you. And we're going to try to stay fairly soft through the glutes. So it's really easy to turn on the glutes a lot, but we're going to try to stay soft through there. We're going to bring our forehead down to the ground, and then we're going to engage and try and lift our arms off the floor with our thumbs face up. Don't worry if your arms don't lift today. You can just try to lift them. So some people's shoulder flexibility is a little bit different to others. So we're going to try to not tighten through the glutes. We're going to try to actually keep the glutes soft, and we're going to draw up through the belly button. So we're pulling in through the belly, and we're keeping the glutes soft, and we're lifting through the arms. So it really makes a difference when you do that. So pulling in through the belly, then lift up through the arms. Forehead stays down on the ground. We're working on the mobility through the shoulders, drawing up through the belly button, soft through the butt. Lifting the arms out long. Good, and then down. It's actually quite hard work. Last one, lift up through the belly, soften through the glutes, stretch the arms out. And then coming back down. Good job. Okay, so we're going to give our back a little bit of a rest now by coming into knot posture. This is also a really good shoulder one. We're going to spider our fingers out to the sides, so spidering out to each side. We're going to tuck our toes under and bring our body weight forward. And then flip your palms to face up. Allow your body just to come down to the ground. Take some nice big deep breaths. into the upper back. So here we're stretching the posterior delts. A few more nice big deep breaths. When you breathe deeply and you think about where you're sending that breath, you start to nudge the body from the inside to the outside. Go ahead and cross the other arm over top, other arm underneath. We're just gonna reach out to the side, little spider fingers. Tuck your toes under, wiggle your weight forward, place your palms face up. Allow your body to sink down towards the floor. Nice big deep breaths here. Right into the upper back. Just think of releasing and relaxing. And then bringing the elbows back underneath the shoulders. Take a moment to draw your shoulders onto your back. Tuck your chin in just slightly. This is a really beautiful position to stretch out the neck. So making sure that your shoulders are back and down. Go ahead and gently take your ear towards one shoulder and the other shoulder. So just being really gentle here, feeling into the sides of the neck. So the shoulders stay engaged. The scapula pulls back and together. And then tipping the chin forward, keep the shoulders back. Go ahead and gently move left and right, feeling into the neck. And then bringing the elbows out to the side. We're going to bring our forehead back down to the ground. So we're going to work into the upper back and shoulder area again. We're going to engage the abs. So we're going to lift the abs away from the floor as much as possible. We're going to take our arms out at a nice 45-degree angle. And then we're going to lift up without lifting the forehead, without tightening the glutes. So soft through the glutes here. Lift up through the belly button. So we're engaging the core, drawing our shoulders back and down, and then try to flip your thumbs face up. So nice big inhale here, and exhale down. Take a nice big inhale. Coming all the way up. As you breathe, drawing the belly button towards your spine. Keeping engaged through the core. And bringing the hands back down. We'll do that one more time. So nice big inhale up. Draw the belly button in. Breathe. Soft through the glutes. Forehead stays pressed towards the floor. A few more breaths. Nice inhale there. Good. And exhale back down. Go ahead and bring your hands underneath your shoulder, coming up into a little low cobra or all the way up. Just wiggling around again through the hips and through the shoulders. So that was some nice mobility through the shoulder. We're just going to come into a seated position. So this is doing a few things. It's stretching out what's called the tibialis anterior. So that's your shin, the front of your shin. And the top of the foot gets quite tight from wearing boots. So does the front of the shin. It can also get very tight from running. So it's important to keep your feet really straight back there. So what I mean by that is the toes want to come in towards each other, but I want you to keep the feet really nice and straight as you go to sit back. So I'm just going to sit back on my feet. I'm stretching out the tib anterior. If it's a little bit too much, you're going to roll your mat up like this, and you're going to place a little roll, or you can place a towel rolled up underneath your foot. So this is going to be quite a bit easier like that, to have that little space there. If it feels like too much for your knees, then you can sit up on something. So you can sit up on a block if you need to. So often if we've had injuries, it's sometimes hard to come into a full seated position. So just see where you are there. So once you've chosen your seat, and it can be all the way up here today if this is just really, really too much, it's okay. So once you've chosen your seat, we're going
gonna give ourselves a big, big hug like this, and we're reaching back for our shoulder blades. We're gonna work into what's called the thoracic spine, which tends to get quite tight in most athletes. So your thoracic spine comes from C7, the base of the neck, down to T12, so right here. So this is your thoracic spine in between C7 and T12, right here. So you're gonna give yourself a nice big hug, sink back onto the heels, and we're just tipping from that thoracic spine all the way over to the right, coming back to the center, and then we're just gonna tip all the way over to the left. So the reason this works better when we're seated rather than standing is because if we're standing, our hips can move a lot, and then it doesn't work into that T-spine as well. So that's why we're in the seated position. From here, we're gonna come into a twist, and it's not gonna feel like a big twist, but again, we're moving from the T-spine over to the right, coming back to the center. It's just a smaller movement, and then over to the left. And you might find you've got movement more one way than the other. We've got one more to do on either side. So looking all the way over top of your shoulder. So remember, we're keeping the chin just ever so slightly tucked. We're pressing that head back. So we're working on that nice neck alignment also. We're trying to get back that ear alignment with our shoulder. Good. Go ahead and swing your arms front and back. So we're coming into a little bit of chest expansion. And allow your thumbs to go all the way back. Good. We're gonna bring our other arm over top, so it'll just feel a little bit weird probably. And we're gently tipping over to the left, center, right, and center. And again, we're trying to move from the thoracic spine. I've got more movement one way than the other. Most people do as well. So just looking over one shoulder, and the other shoulder is our twist part. Good, one more time, either way. Good. Awesome, so we're kind of working down the body. So that was for our thoracic spine. So now we're gonna take some time to work into the chest. So I'm sure most of you have done a chest stretch on the wall. So on the wall, you can stretch like this. So this is a beautiful one with the same foot stepped forward, or like this. But we're gonna actually do this on the floor, which feels kind of interesting. So we're gonna lie on our tummy, take a nice long arm straight out to the side. And then we're gonna roll that shoulder back. And I'm gonna flip myself just onto the side with my knees up. So my hips are at a 90-degree angle, and so are my knees. Knees are just stacked on top of each other. So I'm coming into a big anterior deltoid stretch. That's the front part of your shoulder. Now, if I want more stretch, I can press this hand, my left hand, into the ground and just roll that top shoulder back. Or this might be quite a lot, and I might choose to just rest my hand underneath my face right here. So whichever is better for you, you're stretching out the front of your shoulder, taking a few nice big deep breaths there. So if you're someone that lifts weights a lot, this is a really nice one to do. If you've been doing a lot of push-ups or a lot of bench press, this is going to be super beneficial. Okay, so from here, we're just going to take a moment to come into a little L. So I've got my elbow at a 90, my shoulder is also at a 90. So now I'm coming back down, and again, I'm pushing away from the mat to create more stretch, rolling that top shoulder down and back, or I'm just going to come to here, and that might be lots. That could be a big pectoralis stretch right there. So big pec stretch for your chest. Couple nice big deep breaths. You can always move just a little bit around just to find that spot where you can feel the stretch. Good. Now we're going to switch. You can just roll to the other side. I'm just going to flip around so I can still see the screen. So nice long arm. Nice long arm like that. Roll the shoulder back. And then spin on to your side of the body. Knees at a right angle, hips at a right angle. And you're just placing that hand into the ground, coming into a deeper anterior deltoid stretch, or you might just place the hand underneath the cheek to make it a little bit more comfortable. So just like that. Couple more
tight chest and tight anterior deltoid, go ahead and bring your arm into an L shape. By having a tight chest is also going to filter into those postural problems that we talked about at the beginning of class today. So chest is a really good one to stretch if you're doing a lot of sitting. And you might bring your hand underneath your face right there. So just deciding whether you want to push away from the floor or not. Good. Taking a few deep breaths into any tighter spaces that you may feel. Good, we're gonna come all the way up. We're gonna come to a loose cross-legged position. So we're doing a couple things here. We're just passively stretching out the hips in this cross-legged position. So we're not tight like this, but our ankles are lined up with each other. So the legs are in a little bit of a looser position. And then from here, we're just gonna bring our hands to our knees, and we're gonna start to work into the torso a little bit. So we're gonna just come into some rolls through the torso. So we're going to feel into the lower back and into the sides of the body. And we're just rolling and breathing. Just nice and gentle. Just being aware of whatever might come up through the body. Go ahead and switch directions, moving in the opposite direction. Just working into whatever range of motion is comfortable for you. Good. From here, we're going to lengthen out our right arm and gently side bend to the left. We're rolling the bottom shoulder forward, the top shoulder back. We're pressing our knee away from the hands. We're starting to stretch into the sides of the body. Go ahead, take some nice big deep breaths. All the way back up. Then we're going to stretch to the other side. So nice inhale up, exhale over. And then we're taking the knee, just gently working the knee away from the hands. Breathing into the side body. You might be able to roll the bottom shoulder forward and the top shoulder back. Nice inhale, coming all the way back up. Go ahead and bring your opposite hand across your opposite knee. Use the back hand right in the center to lift yourself up. So nice inhale to lengthen the spine, exhale to gently twist. You're looking over top of your back shoulder. So here we're starting to work into the obliques. So you've got your internal obliques and your external obliques. They're responsible for side bending you and for twisting you. And just stay twisted and breathing like that for a few moments. Our bodies, from our xiphoid process down to our pubis, there isn't anything here except for muscles. So there's a large part of the body where our muscles hold ourselves up. So a lot of postural muscles are working hard all the time. Go ahead and come back to the other side. So we're going to bring our other hand over top. A nice big inhale, lift up. Draw your back shoulder onto your back and gently twisting. And take some nice big deep breaths here. Then we're going to bring the other foot forward and the other foot back. So I've had a knee that's been playing up a little bit. So you'll notice on this side, this knee's popped up a little bit high. So I could put something underneath this knee that would support it, and then it might, be not as popped up. But if you're looking at me and seeing that difference, that's why. So when our bodies are injured, they tend to contract a little bit. Go ahead and inhale your left arm up to the sky, side bend over to your right. Bring the bottom shoulder forward, the top shoulder back. Taking some nice big deep breaths here. So when our bodies are a little bit injured, it's just a matter of honoring wherever your body's at. Really listening and not pushing too hard. Nice big inhale, coming back up. Go ahead and lengthen out the other side. Good, exhale over. Bringing your knee away from that hand, bringing the bottom shoulder forward, top shoulder back. Breathe right down into the side body. Nice inhale, coming back up. Go ahead and bring your opposite hand over top of your knee. The other hand's right in the center, close to your seat. Inhale to lift, exhale to gently twist. Take a few nice big deep breaths here. Coming back to the center, go ahead and bring the opposite hand across. Inhale to lift, exhale to gently twist. So our twisting postures are beautiful for the inner structures of our body. So for all of our organs that reside in our abdomen, they give it a little bit of a twisting and rinsing effect. So not only for the mobility and the flexibility of the obliques, but also really good for our organs and our body. And then coming back to the center. Good job, everybody. Okay, we're just going to come onto seated position with our hands facing back. And then we're going to start to take our seat away from our hands, and we're going to walk our hands away from our seat. So we're going to come into big shoulder stretch. This might look different for everybody. If the shoulders are really tight, then you might have to take the hands off the mat and out to the side. But we're going to try keep the hands, aligned up with the shoulders. From here, we're just going to bring the feet together. We're coming into a little butterfly posture at the same time. You might just move a little bit left and a little bit right, finding that nice spot to stretch in, and then breathe. Good job. Go ahead and bring the hands all the way back in. And from here, we're going to come into a bridge position. We're going to come into it from our feet and our hands. So we're going to work into the wrists a little bit, and we're going to work into the shoulders as well. So we'll start with the fingertips facing forward. I'm going to show you two other positions as well. Feet are a little bit wider than the hips, so kind of in between shoulder and hip distance apart. Go ahead and push into the hands, push into the feet, lift all the way up. Then take the head and bring the chin in just slightly. So it's a big, big stretch. It's actually moving into the biceps a little bit, into the forearms a little bit, into the shoulders. And we're trying to bring our seat all the way up by pressing in to the heels. Nice inhale. And then exhale, coming back down. Now we're going to do the exact same thing, but with our fingertips pointing out to the side. So just a little bit different position for the hands and the wrists. Go ahead and take a nice big inhale, lift the seat up, squeeze through the seat. Take the chin, draw the chin in slightly, so you're bringing the back of the head down towards the ground. So you're coming back into that nice alignment, ear and shoulder. You might just gently rock back and forth slightly. Coming all the way back down. Last bridge is with our fingertips towards the back of the mat. So nice big inhale, lift up. Draw the chin in slightly, squeezing through the glutes. Big stretch. And then gently coming all the way back down. You might just take a few moments to move the shoulders and the arms around. Okay, so we're going to talk about the hands and the fingers next before we move into the hips. So hands and fingers, it's really important that they stay flexible throughout our whole lives. So things like arthritis, osteoarthritis, and stuff like that can be pretty prevented by keeping flexibility. So we're going to just take our hands like this, and then we're going to bring the palms of our hands away like this. So I'm just going to move in a little bit closer. So rather than having the palms together, I'm taking the palms away and just leaving the fingers all stuck together. So I'm stretching out the fingers. So that's an important position right there. So we're just feeling into our hands a little bit. And then just stretching out each
finger. So you're just lifting your finger up, you're stretching it back like that. This is a really nice daily one to do with your hands and fingers, especially if you've been out doing a lot of gardening. You can bring your thumb down to your hand. Okay, so just playing with your hands and fingers like that. You might roll the hands around so you can press into the hands, stretching out the forearm as well. Good, good. Okay, now we're gonna come onto all fours. Now this can be a little bit more challenging, so just being careful with it. We're gonna bring our fingertips towards our knees, and then we're just gently leaning back. So my arms are really nice and straight. I'm stretching out the forearms, and I'm gonna move left and right here. And my fingers are as wide as possible, so super, super wide. Think of starfish. We live on the West Coast. You're making your fish look like you're making your hands look like starfish. So the thumb and the finger are far, far away from each other. Talking about starfish, I had the puppy down at the beach, and we found a starfish on the beach. So I walked him all the way back to the water, and I put him in about a foot of water. And then the dog went, stuck his head right under the water, picked up the starfish, and came running back up the beach with it. It was quite cute. Okay, so from here we're going to take our hands, we're going to place our hands the other way. Now go careful here, go gentle. If you know your hands are really tight, place your fingertips close to your knees so there's not as much weight. If you want a little bit more weight, your hands can be away from your knees, but we're trying to make this part of our arm really nice and straight. And we're pressing into the backs of our hands, which can be quite interesting. So if you're someone that does a lot of gardening and a lot of typing, or you just use your hands a lot, there's going to be some tightness here. And then we're going to take our fingertips, we're going to move our fingertips out towards the edges of the mat, like there. So not only for preventing arthritis and osteoarthritis later on in life, go ahead and bring your fingertips towards each other. We're just gently moving left and right again. So we're moving around on the mat, feeling into the backs of our hands. It's also important for anything that we want to do on the ground. So just go ahead and squeeze your fingers now, move your arms, move your fingers around a little bit. So what I mean by that is some of our postures, like down facing dog, for example, it's super important to be able to tack down into our fingertips and our hands. If you want to do any balancing postures, it's super, super important to have that foundation, just like we do with our feet. So there's actually a little bit of lift through the center of my hand, and I'm really tacking down into the fingertips. So when you want to do a handstand, for example, or anything like that, it's going to be important to have that nice flexibility and mobility in the wrists there. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start to work into the hips. So we're going to come into a little squat position like this. So our heels are about the same distance apart as our hips, approximately. Our toes are turned out slightly. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. So some people feel more comfortable squatting with their toes forward, and it just is however your hips are made up. Other people are more comfortable with their toes turned out. But we're trying to sink our butt down towards the ground here. And if this is really hard to do, it could be for a number of different reasons, but I'll show you a few things that help. If you roll a mat up or a towel up, or you take a weight plate and you stick that weight plate underneath your heels. When you go to squat down, that's going to be considerably easier. So if you're somebody that's trying to squat like this and your heels are up off the ground, you want to fill that space in. Okay, and again, knee injuries and hip injuries also come into play here. So just coming into a good squat, we're going to start to feel into the hips. So we're pressing each knee back with our elbow. We're trying to get a little bit of movement there. So you can keep your chest nice and upright, and then you can start to bring your chest forward, and you can start to feel into your low back, feel into the back of your neck, feel into your hips a little bit here. So I'm just gently moving left, gently moving right, feeling into my spine. You can draw some little circles through each knee. Press the knees back with your elbows. And then we're going to bring our right hand out to the side, left hand in behind our ear. I'm just going to gently stretch all the way up. So we're bringing that elbow up to the sky, and I'm pushing my knee out at the same time. So just thinking about the feet again, keep creating that lift, keep the toes nice and spread. Then we're going to bring the other hand in behind the ear, other hand down to the ground, and we're just
lifting up, we're pressing that knee back, working into the hips a little bit. So again, I talked about Dr. Kelly Starrett at the beginning of class today. So his book is Becoming a Supple Leopard, and online under YouTube, it's called The Ready State, and he really loves this squat position. So just coming into this squat position, go ahead and lift your arms up overhead. Go ahead, hands back down to the ground, and then we're gonna push our seat up, and your knees might stay really bent here, and that's okay. We're just going to allow our knees to be bent. Go ahead and cross your arms, gently move left, gently move right. So we're just gonna feel into the lower back and the hamstrings a little bit. Then we're gonna curl up. So we're gonna keep our knees bent and our arms loose. We're just curling all the way up, feeling into our spine, chin coming up. Very last, and just rolling your shoulders backwards and down at the top. Go ahead and come back into that nice squat that you had. So your toes might be slightly turned out at about a 45-degree angle. Heels are underneath your hips. Take a nice big inhale. Arms reach up. Exhale, touch towards your toes, and these might be quite bent. Allow your head and neck to be loose, so give your head and neck a little shake here. Feel into your hamstrings by bringing a little bit of weight into your toes. Then we're going to sit the seat down, press our knees back. Extend both arms. We're going to spiral the pinky fingers in and then drive through the heels. And then relax. Good, one more time. A nice big inhale up. Draw the shoulders back slightly. Exhale. Touch towards your toes, and you might just bring a little bit of weight into the front. So you might move left, move right. So just feel into the sides of the body. Feel into the hips here. Go ahead and drop your seat. Gently move the knees back, feeling into the hips. Arms up, draw your shoulders back, and then drive through the heels. So that little complex there is really beneficial if you're deadlifting or squatting. Okay, so from there we're going to start to stretch into the glutes a little bit and into the hips a little bit. So go ahead and come back down onto your mat, coming into a kneeling position, and then take a big step forward with the right foot. So from here, we're just going to gently tuck the tail under. I'm actually going to just turn and face you this way. So we're going to take the pelvis, and instead of just coming into a low lunge where we're kind of just dumping into the joints, we're actually going to come up. We're going to activate our abdominals. We're going to draw the abdominals in, and we're not going to move as far forward, but we're going to take the tail, and we're going to turn the tail down slightly. So you start to feel a little bit of stretch through your quad. So from here, keeping the hips fairly square, you're just going to press your hands down, and you're actually going to roll your shoulders. So you're going to let your shoulders roll forward, but you're going to keep tucking your pelvis under. So you start to get a really good stretch through the quad into that hip flexor, and then scissor your hips. So bring the front hip back and the back hip forward, and we're just gently tucking our chin in towards our chest. So we're going to come into a few different postures here, so you should be feeling a good stretch through the iliopsoas and through the quadricep there. A couple more big deep breaths. Tucking the tail under. Then if you can, also engaging your glute. So switching on through the glute, drawing in through the belly button, so we're contracting through our abs. And then coming up, and then we're going to bring the body forward. So we're coming more into just a different range of motion. Bringing both arms all the way up, and we'll work back into the T-spine by holding onto our elbows, gently moving left and right. And then bringing the hands down towards the ground. We're going to line up our fingers and our toes. And remember, you can use a block if you need to be up a little bit higher here. And from here, we're just going to press into the mat, lift our chest, and almost drag that back hip forward. So what I mean by that is almost pulling the knee forward, but not actually allowing the knee to move. So just pretending there's a little string attached to your hip and it's being just like that. From here, you're going to keep your right hand underneath your shoulder, toe heel your foot out to the side, so your toes are just off your mat. So you're going to give your hips a little bit more room, and I'm going to turn and face you guys this way. So we're in this stance right here, hands underneath the shoulder. You're just toe heeling your foot out to give your hips a bit of room. We're going to come into winged dragons. We're drawing our knee away from our body. So inhaling the top shoulder back, and then exhaling the top shoulder forward. We're trying to create some movement through the hips here. So we're creating a little bit of mobility through the hip flexor and through the glute. Can be an interesting feeling, especially if you've got some tightness in the hip complex, but just stay with your breath. So inhale up, exhale down. Nice big inhale up and exhale down. A few more times, just like that. Bring your hands back to center. Go ahead and sweep that leg back, and we'll switch to the other side. Go ahead and take a nice big step forward with the other foot. So remember, we're not going to come very far forward here because I'm going to focus on some other things. So just take a moment to tuck the tail under slightly. So we're just drawing the tailbone down. Then we're going to draw the belly button in. We're going to bring our hands to our thigh, and we're actually going to soften through the shoulders. And then we're going to tighten up this back glute. So there's a lot of things going on. So tight back glute, tail tucked under, abdominals in and up. We're pushing away from the thigh a little bit, allowing the shoulders to roll forward. You might even get a little bit of a stretch through the low back here. And then we're scissoring the legs. We're bringing that front leg back, back hip forward. And coming all the way forward. So keeping our hips as square as possible. Inhale, both arms up. Bringing the other arm over top and other arm underneath. And then gently moving left and right. So we're working into the sides of the body, into the obliques, working into the T-spine here. Bringing the hands down. Go ahead and lift your chest, draw your shoulders back. Think of that little string being attached to your hip and it's being pulled forward. So you're almost dragging your back knee forward along the mat, even though it doesn't move. So you're pressing into the mat, you're pulling that mat back. Just like a seal moves himself across the rocks. And then from here, leaving your hand right underneath your shoulder, go ahead and toe heel your foot out to the side of the mat so there's a bit of space. And then leaning the knee away from the body. Inhale that top shoulder back. Exhale that top shoulder forward. Lots of breath. Try to get a little bit of movement through the hips. Working that foot back to the center. Go ahead and bring both feet all the way back. Good job. Okay, we're going to come back to child's posture here. We're going to come into a little variation. So this one's a really nice big stretch through your triceps. So we're going to bring our hands all the way forward. You take a moment to rest your hips. So we're drawing our hips back. We're going to place your elbows on the ground, bring our hands together, and bring our hands over top of our head. So there's a nice big stretch happening through the triceps, and I'm bringing my armpits down towards the floor. So this is a little variation. Breathing and pressing the armpits down. Coming all the way back up. Go ahead and walk your hands all the way off to the side of the mat. Spider walk your fingers forward, drop your seat back. Nice big side stretch. back. So nice big deep breaths. Good, coming all the way up into down facing dog. Go ahead and place your feet close together. Nice big inhale. Go ahead and bring the left leg up to the sky. Turn the toes and bring your heel towards your opposite shoulder. Opening through the hip. Pressing firmly into both hands. So nice big passive hip flexor stretch. Nice big inhale there. Go ahead and step that foot all the way through. So we're in a nice big low lunge. We're going to come all the way up. Square up the hips for a moment. And then drop the knee down to the ground. So we're just in a nice big high lunge. From here, we're going to bring the opposite arm forward. Stretch forward. Bring your elbow across. Exhale and twist. You can always drop the back knee down to the ground here. So this is a nice option. So a little modification here. So on your inhale, we create length through the spine. On the exhale, we create a little bit of twist. Or you're right here. You might play with your weight gently front and gently back. And then bringing the hand down to the ground. Nice big inhale, roll your shoulder onto your back. Reach up to the sky. Exhale the elbow down towards the big toe. Inhale up. Exhale, soften the hips down towards the ground. Nice big inhale up and exhale down. Go ahead and place your hands on either side of your foot. Step your back foot in slightly. Square your hips up, and you might be up here, and that's great too. So we're just bringing the back hip forward, front hip back, making the spine nice and long and coming forward. So we're starting to work into that front hamstring. And you might just square your shoulders a little bit with that front foot. Go ahead and move gently left or right with the hips. And then coming back to that nice big high lunge, coming all the way up, all the way back down. Hands on either side of that foot, step back to down facing dog. Couple nice big deep breaths. Bend the knees, bring the knees close to the floor, and then gently extend through the seat. Big inhale, go ahead, bring your other leg up towards the sky. Allow your knee to bend so the heel comes towards the opposite shoulder. Press both shoulders towards your foot. Nice and strong through all parts of the hand. Nice big inhale. Step all the way through in between your hands. Inhale, come up to high lunge. Make sure you're squaring through the hips. Opposite arm comes forward. Lengthen out over top of your torso. Elbow comes across. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to twist. Remember, you can have your back knee down on the ground here. You may play with your weight front and back. Bring your hands down on the inside and go ahead and inhale your arm up to the sky. Roll your shoulder onto your back. Exhale your elbow towards your big toe. Inhale, reach up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. And exhale, coming down. Placing your hands on either side of the foot. Go ahead and take a small step in. Coming into pyramid posture. You might come up to here and gently square up your hips. So the back hip moves forward and the front hip moves back. Keeping your spine nice and long. Go ahead and play with your hips. Gently left and gently right. Coming back into nice big high lunge all the way up and back down. Hands on the inside and the outside of the foot. Stepping back to down facing dog. Go ahead and draw some big circles through the knees. You're allowing your knee to drop to the inside and you're gently rolling it to the outside. Pressing firmly into both hands. From here, coming into pigeon posture, which is really beautiful for stretching out the glutes. A nice big inhale. Bringing your left leg up to the sky. Exhale, bringing your shin across or your heel down towards the center of the mat. So heel in towards the center tends to be a little bit easier through the hips. Shin across tends to be a little bit more challenging through the hips. And just tucking your back toe under, you might lengthen that back leg back. We're gonna come into some nice spinal rolls. So hands a little bit wider than your mat. Inhale here, and then exhale, keeping your spine nice and long. Tummy, rib cage, chest, chin, forehead. Inhale up. Good, and exhale down. So we're trying to keep our hips a little bit square by bringing a little bit of weight over into the right hip. So rather than being crashed onto the side, we're trying to be up here. Good job. One more nice big spinal wave. Tummy, chest, chin, forehead. Curl all the way up, chin close to your chest. Then bringing your elbows down to the ground or stacking hand over top of hand. Taking some nice long breaths here. And coming into a little variation by walking your hands over to the big toe side. So you're creating some nice length through your torso, the sides of the body, and then just coming forward any amount. A little bit of a different angle. And walking hand over top of hand, coming into a little twist. Bring your hands over top of the bent knee. Coming back to the center, spreading your fingers out really wide. Go ahead and tuck your back toes under. Lift up through the belly button, pushing back to down facing dog. You might move your heels up and down. Might be a little bit of stuff stuck. So creating a little bit of movement. A nice big inhale, bringing the other leg up to the sky. Go ahead and bring your shin either down or across the mat. Fingertips fairly wide on the mat. Pull your toes up towards your knee to keep the tibia and fibula in nice alignment. Taking a nice big inhale here. And then exhale, coming down, tummy, chest, chin, forehead. Inhale, curl back up. And exhale, coming down, tummy, ribs, chest, chin, forehead. Inhale, curl back up, chin close to your chest. One more time, try to bring a little bit of weight into your extended leg hip. Good, and then coming into stillness on your elbows or finding stillness with your forehead over top of your hands. 5 nice big deep breaths. See if you can allow your exhale to get longer than your inhale. Nice inhale coming up. Walk hand over top of hand. Take a moment to spider walk your fingers forward, lengthening both sides. So a little bit of a different angle in pigeon posture. And coming up, walking hand over top of hand, finding a little twist on the other side. And coming back to down facing dog by tucking your toes under, lifting up through the belly button, gently placing that foot down, moving your heels up and down. You might come back to drawing some circles, something that brings some movements into those hips. And bringing the knees down to the mat, just coming into a nice seated position. We're going to take both legs out to the side and start to work into the inner thighs. So just taking a moment to gently press the legs back. We take our hands, we're going to start to move our hips forward. So I'm trying to sit on the front of my sit bones. I'm lifting through the chest and drawing my shoulders back. And this might be lots today. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to move from this body shape here. you're trying to gently start to move your hips forward. So everybody this will be different. When you come to here, you might walk your hands around in front, and even from the fingertips, press the fingertips into the ground and just lift your chest up. And you're almost pulling the mat back, so it helps to rotate those hips forward. You might come onto your elbows today, gently move left and right. You might start to walk your hands forward. Just see how your inner thighs are doing. And then find your way into stillness for a few breaths. You might just gently move left and right, so just feeling into the sides of the body. And coming all the way back up, go ahead and sweep your feet onto the mat, fingertips towards the back, and that will come to some nice windshield wiper legs. So sometimes there's a little bit of stuff stuck in the outside of the hips, just allowing your knee to come towards the center of the mat, and the other knee comes to the outside. Good. And then just bringing your knee or your feet out in front of you. Just gonna check what time we're at. I think we're just about actually at time. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming out to practice today. And I hope you learned a little bit about maybe where your body is tight and needs a little bit of tender loving care, needing some flexibility and mobility work possibly. So if you've injured yourself today, please fill out a CF98 form if you're a military member. If you've got any comments or suggestions, please leave them below and I'll try to get back to you. So if you have a specific question about maybe what your body is doing, let me know that and I might have an answer for you. Please check out the CAF Connection online. The website is just listed below that COVID disclosure. And just remembering that working on your flexibility and mobility, it can provide lower pain levels, it can help you with your sleep, it can help you with injury prevention and also help with rehabilitation of an injury. It also can help with athletic performance. It can help you with your lifts in your gym, getting into those deeper squat and deadlift positions. It also helps you with just general range of motion through each body joint, and it helps to build good posture. So it's so important to just keep good body mechanics throughout life. That's what helps to keep our back and hips and knees feeling good. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming out and doing the practice today. And I hope you have a really, really great day. Okay, enjoy, everyone. Thank you.